Victoria is one of our HBD Club angels. She's obviously very kind and very helpful and is very thoughtful with her replies to people. And we're honoured to have you with us, Victoria. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're really talking today about your new course, your Mindset and Emotions course, which are really fantastic reviews because you really help people. You describe that you're still on a journey. You're still on your journey. We're all on our journeys. We're all a work in progress, I guess. And our work on ourselves changes as we change, as we heal. But we'd love to hear if there was a kind of aha moment when you were doing work on yourself and getting help from other practitioners like Reiki and things like that, when you thought, actually, I can pass this on. What I've learnt here has been so valuable. I may have been through the ringer myself with emotional things and everything that life throws at us, but I have found modalities that help, and I think that I can help other people. Because it's just a kind of magical switch, isn't it? And I felt the same when I realized I was getting my son better using nutrition and finding myself reading more and more about it, and then thinking maybe I could be a nutritionist. Was it like that for you? That maybe you could turn your own healing into healing for other people, which is, such a gift for everybody.
Do you know, I think that question's really interesting because part of my journey of recovery, if you like, so whether it's recovering from not loving myself very much or thinking that I'm not good enough or from drinking too much or eating, not making loving choices, part of that is also dealing with this imposter syndrome, isn't it? It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, how could I help somebody? It's like, what qualifications or worth have I got to help other people? And for me, I think it was through having my daughter. Becoming a mummy at the age of 43 was a massive change in my life, really, of asking me to be more responsible and show up more for myself so that I could be an example to her.
Yeah.
And so through that and learning Reiki and adding that into my toolkit, it was through clients saying to me, I would like you to teach me how to do it.
Amazing.
I would like you to show me how to love myself more, how to help me with my journey, how to help me deal with things that I'm struggling with. And it was for me almost like the universe saying, okay, come on, this is your path unfolding. And I kind of went along with it, kicking and screaming a little bit and trying to hide from it because of thinking that who am I to do? I always remember that quote from Marianne Williamson of who am I not to? And that we're all children of God and that it's our responsibility to show up for us so that we can then be of service and to support other people.
Exactly.
It's that continues to be the force that pulls me along with it because of the responsibility, first and foremost, for myself and my family, my daughter, my husband, my mum, and then as being of service back to other people.
Yeah, no, really lovely. Marianne Williamson, well, that's such a beautiful, amazing quote, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Victoria, how did you, because I think that a lot of us we really struggle with the idea of loving ourselves. I don't know why. And I think we get better at it naturally as we get older. But, it kind of, on some weird level, it makes you feel a bit yuck. You think, well, of course I don't love myself in the way that I love my friends. Because like you said, I'm not, who am I? I'm not worth it.
Yeah.
And then there was a switch in that for you as well. There was for me, I think, when I started realizing that the tools I had as a nutritionist were actually really valuable and could make people feel better. And that, of course, when we do that for other people, it makes us feel better and more accepting of ourselves. We think, well, maybe we are valuable in some way. But it's still a difficult concept for a lot of us. That self-love, self-nurture, healing. But I think it does get easier with time. I don't know if you've got anything that you could say to people that could help them with that. But I mean, like you said, the Marianne Williamson quote, who am I also not to love myself?
Yes. And through that, she says in her quote, we give permission to other people to do the same. We're really in a time, Petronella, where especially as women, we're being asked to shine brighter. And I know that this program isn't just for females, but speaking as a female, we have so many skills and so many different things that we do, whether that's juggling being a parent or a daughter or a sister, having a a business or working in a job or dealing with the home stuff and all of those things, we can almost think, well, who am I? What skills have I got? I really do believe that it's through the challenges and the difficulties in our life that we then start to see how we can give back, how we can support other people. But for me, I think today the biggest driver of self-love is to be an example for Isabella at the age of 10, for her to see that it's really important that, and it's not selfish, that we care about ourselves and that we love ourselves and that we speak kindly to ourselves.
Oh, blessed by you, she is.
You
Yeah.
know, well, we chose each other, didn't we? I do believe that. I believe that she chose me, I chose her. I chose my mum, she chose me. And, you know, we go through what we go through in order to then learn what we need to learn to then pass on for this evolution of our planet and humanity to grow and evolve. And you see these memes, don't you, of, you know, like the old grandparent who was, you know, just get on with it, just deal with it, don't feel it, just don't accept, you know, don't push back, don't want to make any changes. And then even that, for me, my mum used to say, oh, just get on with it. And it was only when I was in my later 40s that I pushed back to her and I said, no, Mum, it's not just get on with it. That's not helpful. It's not helpful for me to just get on with it. You know, so whilst it's important to build this resilience, there's such importance in having self-compassion and nurturing ourselves and loving ourselves and pushing back and saying, no, actually, that's not for me, and knowing that that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's,
You
yeah,
know.
beautifully well said, my darling. Well, really well said. So tell us a little bit about your Mindset and Motions course. And the next one is starting on October the 22nd.
Yes.
I think it's taking a slightly different format from what you've done in the past. Do tell us about it. We'd love to hear more.
So this one is 6 sessions. It's different. We're diving a bit deeper into different aspects. The session 1, just to give like an example, is about our mindset, our emotions, and bringing awareness to that. So it's looking at, do we have a fixed mindset, or actually can we develop through more self-compassion, having more of a growth mindset? So rather than beating myself up with judgment, can I be a bit kinder with myself and look at what happens? So, you know, example of it, whether it's drinking or whether it's eating or whether it's using something else, what do I do? What's the trigger? What then is my action? How do I then feel about myself? And how can I look at taking on a more gentle and self-compassionate approach to that, to learn from it, recognizing those patterns without judgment, the kind of feelings and things that come along with that. What's really lovely in the group is that we, at the beginning, set our expectation as to how we want to work as a group. So to make sure we maintain confidentiality, that what's said in the group stays in the group, that we hold each other accountable, that we're honest with each other. And we do work. So there'll be obviously some lecture. We'll talk about things. I'll talk about examples. We'll do work inside the group. And then we break out into little groups so that they're then sharing more intimately with a partner. And then we come back and discuss. And I intermingle that with some maybe connections, some meditation, some mindfulness, some journaling. And then at the end of that, there'll be some homework for them to do to keep, I've called it like food and feelings journal in the first week, so that they look at what happens without judgment. Can I try to get some understanding around this thing happens and this is how I react, so we can then talk about it when we gather then on the second session. And the second session then is about really breaking free from those limiting beliefs. So how can I identify but also reframe the beliefs that drive my habits, and then look at the behaviors around that. Then into session 3, we look at more like tools for emotional regulation. So we'll talk about grounding, mindfulness, pausing techniques. Can I introduce some of that to be more regulated emotionally before cravings come in, before my triggers then are actioned? And then the homework will be to look at applying some of that back in their life and keeping a journal of how that goes, and coming back and then sharing that in the next session. And then session 4 is about emotional intelligence and boundaries. So it's looking at, actually, and this is where we start to get a little bit brave about, are there people or situations or places that I'm in that actually I need to create some guilt-free boundaries in, that it's these lack of boundaries that other people are benefiting from potentially, or boundaries around food and drink that are causing me to act in a certain way, and maybe do I then need to practice being more assertive in those boundaries and saying, no, I don't want to go to this place, or no, I'm sorry, I'm not available to come to here, for example.
What, so boundaries meaning deciding what we want to do in advance, like we're not going to take a drink, or we're not going to go to a place we don't want to go to.
Yeah. Or if I visit this person and this person is the person that sends me potentially into a spiral of eating, or a conversation with a particular person. And that's tricky, especially if it's people that are our immediate family or we're in a relationship with. Something happens and then that sends me into a place of I feel unsafe, I feel insecure, and I want to eat or drink to numb and not deal with the emotion. And so we then need to look at building resilience, which is what we'll do in session 5. So we look at reframing those, any setbacks, and looking at them as learning opportunities. We start to build resilience so that we can maintain more mindful habits and make more loving choices whilst expanding on that growth mindset. And then the homework in that will be to look at making small changes and then reflecting on that and seeing how that goes and how do we want to do that going forward. And then the last session will be kind of integrating and looking at how do we review any insights as a group, support and hold each other. Can we celebrate the progress that we've made? And then look at being honest with ourselves about what personal plan then do we want to create for moving forward.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Victoria. Really empowering and really, really deep work. And interesting that I know that you work one-to-one with people, but I was just thinking, on Instagram, but also particularly in the club, when people come together, when they're supporting each other, everything goes much deeper, doesn't it? It's not, and people ask questions that maybe somebody else is thinking, but they're too embarrassed to ask it themselves because they might think they look silly or whatever. So the group dynamic can be really powerful, can't it? Even might shy away from the idea, thinking, "Oh no, I couldn't do that. I'm too private." So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, "Oh, I don't dare," remember that lots of other people who are joining in will also be thinking exactly that. So join in together.
It's one of the biggest things that people say from attending Petronella, the group support, and that somebody says something that someone else is thinking, or that you then break off into small groups and you just share within your group. And there are never any coincidences with who's on the course together. It's always who's meant to be. There's always a commonality, or there's always something that holds the group as a thread together, or with an individual that they're paired with, always. And very often I'm asked to, can I run another session afterwards, or people connect with each other, or can we create, some kind of, because obviously they'll have connected with each other, and maybe then they have an offshoot conversation with each other to support or hold each other accountable,
Yep, absolutely. Really, really important. Amazing. What you're doing is so important, Victoria. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, which I should have said by way of introduction at the beginning, that Victoria is an award-winning certified Reiki master, teacher and practitioner. And she's a Reiki science master, coach. She's a mindfulness and meditation teacher, a guide, a moonologer. She's very fascinated by the moon and finds the teachings from the moon very helpful too. And a celebrant. She's not just saying, oh yeah, I'm an expert. She does belong to PACA memberships, including the UK Reiki Federation and the CNHC, the Complementary and Natural Healthcare Council. And she really knows what she's talking about. And I must say, Victoria, your warmth and your wisdom and your kindness always shines through. Thank you, my darling. Thank you so much.
Be well. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.